There are several methods for solving quadratic equations, and you need to be familiar with them all. So when I have an equation in standard form, that is ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, I can factor and then use the zero product property to solve. Let's remember what the zero product property says. It says that if two factors, m and n, multiply together to get a result of 0, then one of two things must be true. Either m must be 0 or n must be 0. So we can solve an equation by factoring as long as we have 0 on one side of the equation and use that property. So in example 1, I'm going to solve by factoring. Let's look at a. In a, those look like awfully large numbers, and that's really a signal for me to look for some common factor that I can factor out. It so happens that 6 divides evenly into all of those, so it will be much easier for you if you factor out that 6 first. And then we get k squared plus 3k minus 10. I factor in a box, put my first term, k squared, and my last term in the upper left and lower right corners. And then I look for the coefficients of those two terms times each other. So 1 times negative 10 is negative 10. And look for a pair of factors that adds up to positive 3. So that would be positive 5k and negative 2k. That's splitting the middle term. Then just factor the GCF from the top row. K squared minus 2k's GCF is k. 5k minus 10's GCF is 5. And that's on the bottom row. And then on the left column, k squared plus 5k's GCF is k. And on the right column, negative 2k minus 10's GCF is negative 2. And then you can just check the multiplication using the box. And so we get 6 times k plus 5 times k minus 2 is equal to 0. Well, 6 is never going to be 0 because it's not variable. But our two other factors, k plus 5 and k minus 2, may be 0. So my next step is to say that those two variable factors, one of them must be 0. So we're going to get k is equal to negative 5 or k is equal to 2. And then I'm just going to put those in a solution set. Whoops, that was, negative 5 and positive 2. All right, let's try another. N squared minus 4n is equal to 0. This one's not a trinomial, so all I need to do for this one is factor out that GCF. And so one of our variable factors or the second variable factor must be 0. And let's solve each for n. So I get either n is equal to 0 or n is equal to 4. There are two solutions. That's generally true about any quadratic equation. It has two solutions. The next, I sure don't want to try to do the AC method with this. 121 u squared is a perfect square, 64 is a perfect square, so this can be factored by using the difference of squares. 11u plus 8 times 11u minus 8 are the two factors. That's the easiest way to approach this one. So either 11u plus 8 is equal to 0 or 11u minus 8 is equal to 0. Let's solve the first equation. Subtracting 8 and dividing by 11, and then solving the second equation, adding 8 and then dividing by 11. It looks like our solution set consists of two opposite solutions, negative and positive 8/11. Okay, on the right here in D, we've got 3y squared minus 8y plus 4, which is already in that form where we have a 0 on one side. So I'm going to factor that using the AC method because I don't see a GCF to factor out. So I'll put my 3y squared in the first box on the upper left, positive 4 on the lower right. And we are looking for a factor of 12, pair of factors of positive 12, 3 times 4, that add up to negative 8. So that would be negative 6 and negative 2. Top row has a GCF of y, the bottom row negative 2. The left column has a GCF of 3y and the right column of negative 2. So our two factors are y minus 2 and 3y minus 2. So either y minus 2 is equal to 0 or 3y minus 2 is equal to 0. Adding 2, we get y equal 2 from the first equation, and then adding 2 and dividing by 3, we get y equals 2/3 from the second equation. So we have two solutions, 2/3 and 2. It doesn't matter what order you put them in. I'm going to tend to give mine from least to greatest. Alright, so why don't you try one on your very own? Let's try A. Stop the video to try this one on your own. The solution for this one should be a solution set of 1/2 and 9/2. Now try B. This one utilizes difference of squares factoring, and so our solutions are opposites, negative 1/3 and positive 1/3. Alright, now try C. This one has two solutions of negative 7 and 0. Be real careful with this equation right here. That means 3 times w is equal to 0, or 3 times what equals 0, and the answer is 0. We're going to solve that one by dividing by 3. All right, one last one for you to try, and that is D. 5m squared minus 20m minus 300 equals 0. This last one gives us a solution set of negative 6 and 10. If you found it hard to factor at first, I hope you are learning to look out for that GCF. We want to factor out that GCF of 5 before we attempt to do anything with the AC method. Otherwise, the numbers are going to be too large. All right, that's it for this part. Now you can do well, actually, watch all of the videos here because the practice for this is going to be mixed methods. So you'll want to watch all the videos first.